Life gives us moments when we have the opportunity to make a choice. And what we choose has the potential to change our lives forever. Join us now for another inspired episode of The Breakthrough. And now, please welcome the creator and host of the show, Jessica Dugas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Breakthrough Show. It's the personal development talk show empowering you to change the way you look at and live your life. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and our show is oozing with masculine energy today, you guys. I'm really excited about it. Later on in the show, we're talking to an entrepreneur who has started more than 80 businesses. Okay, my mind has been really like trying to process this still because I have enough issues with my own one business to think about having 80. Several of those businesses going beyond 7 figures, which is really amazing. Now, if you're here and you're thinking to yourself, listen, I'm a heart-centered entrepreneur. This does not sound like it's for me. I invite you to just hang with us, challenge your way of thinking, and stick around because I promise you that there is a message here for you today that you need to hear if you are determined to change the world like a lot of us are for the better. Okay. And we're talking about dolphins. So who doesn't like dolphins? So Tom Matzen's going to be joining me in a little bit here, but up first, joining me for a hot topic today, we've got a guy who left his secure job at a Fortune 500 company, risking it all to follow his passion to create the ultimate empire in mini golf. Mini golf, you guys. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Mini Golf himself, Karl Barth. Karl, welcome.
Hi, Jessica. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be on your show today.
It's so funny to see her because I was talking to someone before we came on to record today, and she was like, "Oh, who's your interview with today?" And I'm like, "Mr. Mini Golf." She's like, "What?" Mm-hmm. That does not sound like somebody that you'd have on your show, but it really stays with this theme of this show that we have where it doesn't matter the walk of life that you come from or the line of work that you come from. We all have lessons and stories that we go through that can help improve somebody else's life just by hearing it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. So, I really wanted to have you on for Hot Topics today because the truth of the matter is that a lot of people hate their jobs. They hate their jobs. Mm-hmm. They're miserable in their 9 to 5. And then there are crazy people like us who have said, screw that, and followed our dreams no matter how crazy they are. And that really got me to thinking, who said you could do this? Who said it was okay for you to start a business around mini golf, Karl?
Sure. Well, nobody said it was okay for me to do it. I said it was okay. And, I made the plans to make that happen. I mean, I knew very early on is one of my earliest memories is, playing miniature golf. And as a kid growing up, I had this dream of, someday this is going to be my career. I'm not sure how it's going to happen, but I want it to happen. And when I was in elementary school, I even wrote what we did something called Young Authors, which we would write our own book about being as creative as possible. And my first one that I ever made was about me designing my very first miniature golf course. So that was definitely a big starting point for me on getting to this point.
Wait, how old were you when you...
Well, the earliest memory that I can even recall, I was either 2 or 3 years old, and I had gotten this toy called Gator Golf, which was a little plastic alligator, and you hit golf balls into it, and it would like shoot them back at you. And we have a picture of me not even knowing, there's no way I would understand what I was doing, but I was so serious in lining up my shot. It was just like some like otherworldly type of experience, I guess, because who knew that was going to be where I was going to end up, 20 plus years later, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, okay. So we have these thoughts when we're younger of something that we want to do. In fact, I've talked several times on this season already because we've had many singers on the show this year. And I've talked about the fact that I, growing up, I was the little 8-year-old girl practicing my Grammy speech in front of the mirror. And like, I just knew that I needed to do something with music one day. And somewhere along the way, I got this idea that I shouldn't do that. that it wasn't it wasn't going to be, that I wasn't going to be able to do that, that was only for certain people and they're special people, and that it wasn't me. And so like, as you were having these dreams growing up, like, did anybody tell you like that's completely ridiculous, or were you always uplifted?
Sure. I mean, yeah. Basically my environment around me was saying, like school, teachers, things like that. You know, you gotta get that real job. You have to do, you know, something that's going to make you money and have a secure career. But I did have a teacher that I had for both 5th and 6th grade. His name is Mr. Cranbeer. He was the person that gave me the spark that whatever I wanted to accomplish, I could, if I put in the hard work and was dedicated to doing that. So not necessarily at that point thinking, oh, miniature golf was the route, but you know, he gave me that confidence that, you know, I could do it if I just believed in myself and put in the hard work for it. Because regardless of whatever you do, there's hard work to getting to a level where, you know, you can change something from a passion or a hobby to a business or a career.
Right. How did you know though that it was more than that, you wanted it to be more than just like a passion or a hobby? Because a lot of people enjoy mini golf, and I don't know many people who have sat down and been like, yeah, this will be a lucrative business too, right?
Yeah. You know, really it was you going and traveling around and playing all these different courses and seeing, you know, this is everywhere. So there's no real reason why it can't, you know, be something that people see everywhere. And with my businesses, it's not necessarily a traditional course. I'm not there yet. That's ultimately one of the end goals, is to design my own course, add in the innovations that I've seen in the industry throughout the years, that, and several that I've thought up myself that I haven't seen anybody do. And it's just like, I can't believe nobody's done this yet. So, you know, having those little secrets in my back pocket, but it's trying to become more, making mini golf more mainstream. Like you said, a lot of people enjoy it. I mean, it is something that everybody can do and have some fun with. I mean, it's great for all ages. You know, little kids that can hardly walk can still hold a club and hit the ball. And same with the grandparents that can hardly walk but can still hit the ball. They can all play together as a family. And that's something it's one of the few activities that I think people can actually do that. And it's relatively cheap still. So people can afford to go out and do that even during like this, you know, this time with COVID and everything. You know, a lot of families are hurting financially, but they still want to, you know, have fun with each other and do activities. And now things that are opening up, you know, miniature golf courses are bumping, especially with the nice weather out. So it's like definitely you know, opportunity there. But with what I did is I basically created, initially I was looking for some pictures of one of my favorite courses that I played growing up, and it had closed in the early 2000s. I believe the owner had passed away, and I was trying to find pictures just online because I was like, this is my favorite course. I've never seen anything like it elsewhere, and I couldn't find anything. So I was really disappointed in that. And I was like, well, why can't I create an archive of mini golf? So traveling around the country, playing different courses, making connections with course owners and other players, and, you know, making this archive of pictures. And it started off in October of 2017. I was still working at the Fortune 500 company job, but it was more of a hobby, but it was a way to allow me to start pursuing mini golf more in a professional manner. And also it helped, you know, pay for me to travel and play at these different courses. So it was kind of hand in hand there. And then all of a sudden, you know, it's starting to get some traction, like just in the first 3 months. Although this number is small in comparison to a lot of things, but I had 10,000 views on my website of my content, which I thought was really cool, just because it was like mini golf. I was like, man, I can't believe there's, you know, all this people interested in checking it out. And then, you know, I kept working at it and changing the format. I changed it to be one hole a day, so people could see a new mini golf hole every single day. And then in 2018 that jumped up to 50,000. So I was seeing some growth, and I was like, man, this is still pretty cool. People are checking out the content. And then in 2019, that was when I decided I was leaving the Fortune 500 company job and to pursue mini golf full time. And then so in 2019, it bumped up from 50,000 to over 3 million. So
Wow.
it was just like, people are really interested in the content. They want to check it out. I'm even a sponsored player as well now. So I have a couple companies that sponsor me. I'm definitely a professional miniature golfer, so it's kind of cool to say that, but it's really one of the only sports with being a bit of a huskier person that I could be a professional athlete. So it's a great I don't think I'd ever would have dreamed of being able to call myself a professional athlete. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other professional athletes probably are pretty mad about that, but I'll take it. I think it's great. It just goes to show that, it's not entirely serious. You have some fun with it. But I mean, there's just so many cool things to do with it. So that was my first, business with miniature golf, mini golf reviews. And then also to kind of help sustain, transitioning out of the full career type of path, I created a business called Jackpot, which was a traveling mini golf hole-in-one contest that also is a fundraiser for charities and nonprofit organizations. And that was great because it was allowing me to bring miniature golf to people that might not normally would go out to seek that on their own, but it was allowing me to get in front of people that, hadn't experienced it before. Right. So I was bringing mini golf to the masses opposed to trying to get the masses to come to mini golf.
So it's not enough for you. It's not enough for you that you could create a business around something that you just are passionate about, like mini golf. Now you got to go and give back to charity too.
Right. And that's what's great. I mean, the business is profitable and I'm still able to give back. So like anybody that says, our business is too tight or too strict to help other people, it's like that's kind of ridiculous because I'm doing miniature golf and I'm able to do it. So there's really no reason to help other people. If you see there's people in need, you can definitely help them. I mean, there's no excuse. And I mean, it's just, if I can do it, anybody can do that.
Well, I think it's what you're talking about how, you basically, the first time you checked, you had 10,000 and over that time, it like when you put everything you had into it, it went to 3 million. And I think that there's something to point out here because there's a lot of us who are in either, particularly that watch this show, that are in the spiritual development line of work or the personal development line of work. And we'll put out all of this content that we feel like it comes from our heart. It's so important. It's important for us to grow. But I think your growth that you're sharing with us today reminds me that so my frustrating thing is I might put out this whole long, amazing, heartfelt, gonna change your life kind of content, and then nobody will comment on that. But then if I post what I have for dinner, then suddenly everybody wants to comment on that. But what this is reminding me, and your numbers are speaking to that, is that people really want to have a connection to something that's fun. Like it can be heartfelt, but they want fun too. And they want, because you can get that hardcore life lesson stuff every day, just living, and so this reminds me, it really does remind me to go back and have fun with what I'm doing, and that other people will have fun with me and it'll be contagious.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing too, that you mentioned that I'd like to point out too. So you said you write this long, heartfelt piece.
Yeah.
And what I've learned along the way at this point is, everyone only has 24 hours in the day, right? And, they have to dedicate that, to eating, sleeping, going to work. So they might only have just that little bit of time, maybe not even up to an hour a day, right, where they're out to, explore other things. So you have to create content in the sense that focus on, what if I only grab this person for a minute? How can it add value to me and add value to them? Right. So that's actually when I changed formats. So I started off writing these nice, really long pieces, going completely in depth with a full course. I mean, the articles were like 2,500 to 3,000 words, but I was realizing, you know what, maybe people are just looking at the pictures and not even reading what I'm putting. So putting all that work, and it's taking a week to get each, post out. Why not just make it short and sweet, make it bite-sized so people can process it? And then, it kind of went from there. And that was kind of really, I guess, one of my magic recipe, magic sauce, whatever. Because then I was just grabbing people for that little bit of time. And then it was just like, it was just continuous. So that consistency of posting every single day and people, just waiting for my content was like, that was pretty cool. And people were asking about it and like, well, tell me about this. And, tell me about all these places that you traveled to. And, when are you going to play a course by me? Or can I recommend a course for you to come out and play? And I want you to, document that because it's my favorite course. Like, it just kind of kept expanding upon all of that. So now is like where I think I'm really going to have a lot more opportunity with all those things because there's just so much more reach for people, and more and more people want to get connected, and they just want to hear my story, but then they want to share their mini golf story too, because like you said, associating with that fun is something that people connect with. It's just relatively easy to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're going to have to break in just a minute, but I have one question for you before we take a break. So everybody says that it never rains on the golf course. Does it never rain on the mini golf course? That's my question.
It would just be little mini drops of rain if it does. Yeah.
My grandfather always used to say that all the time. It never rains on the golf course, Jessica, he would say, because he caddied for many years, and we would talk about golf. I think he wanted me to be really get into golf. I took lessons for a little while, but it wasn't a passion for me. It's fun, but wasn't a passion for sure. But yeah, I was always curious. Does it not rain on the mini golf course? Interesting to think about. Well, will you come back at the end of the show and do some actual golfing or some putting with us?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, we are going to be back in just a minute, you guys. But first, hang out with us for just a minute as we talk dolphins and sharks with Mr. Tom Matzen. We'll be right back. Hey, Jessica Dugas here, creator, producer, and host of The Breakthrough Show. We have big goals here at the show in the desire to change the world one Breakthrough Show episode at a time. And honestly, we couldn't do it without you. We want to take this moment to give a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters for helping us to not only expand the show, but spread its message far and wide. If you're not a supporter yet, we would love to have you. You can choose any tier with tons of benefits at patreon.com/The Breakthrough Show. We can't wait to have you part of our Breakthrough Show family. And now back to the show. Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. My special guest today has started over 80 businesses on his own. Listen, I sit back and I think to myself, I'm overwhelmed with at times thinking of my one business. And so I think of 80 businesses, 7 of them he developed into 7-figure businesses. Here to share his inspiring breakthroughs from his wins and losses along the way, please welcome Tom Matzen to the show. Tom, welcome.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. So excited to be here. And what's crazy is since we did our green room prep interview, I've opened 5 more. I was just doing the math. It's like, oh yeah, right. We're up to 87 now.
Oh my gosh. It blows my mind because like I said, it's overwhelming to think of the one, but I'm a 1-person show as well. Like I don't have a huge team and all of that. Please tell me that you've worked with other people, that this wasn't completely like only you, right? Like, please make me feel better.
Someone asked me one time, and I think out of, it's now 87, I think 2 have been me solo, like literally 2. So yeah, always with partners, and good, bad, and ugly. And we'll get into some of those stories today if you want a little bit. But definitely, to me, done right, partners are 1 + 1 is 11. And so you're far better off with good partners than not. I will throw the caveat in: bad partners are worse. 1 + 1 is -14. Yeah. So lots of lessons learned. Glad to be here, though.
I'm sure of that, and I'm excited that you are here. I have so many things that I want to talk about today. So this is going to be one of those episodes where I wish I had like a 5-hour show and we can just cover all the things, but we're going to try to rein it in for you guys here today. So I would love for you to start by sharing something that's bringing you joy in your life right now.
Oh, what a great question. I love the tie-in. It's actually something, well, if I was to pick one, it's something I learned from interviewing someone at one of our summits last year. We do a big summit called the Do Good and Make Money Super Summit, where we teach people that you can do both at the same time. And one of the keynote speakers we had a gratitude alarm that he set on his phone to go off at 7:30 in the morning and 7:30 at night. And it came up in the interview and we were talking about it. And he said, yeah, I started doing this. Someone suggested it, my coach did or someone, and I love it. And I thought, I could do that. Mm-hmm. And little did I know, I didn't know you could set a recurring alarm in your iPhone. I had an iPhone for years. I didn't know you could set recurring. I always had to turn it on and turn it off every day. And it's like, oh no, it's just a button, Tom. It's just a button. I'm like, what? So I set recurring alarms at 7:30 in the morning, 7:30 at night. And whatever I'm doing, except when I'm being interviewed for a podcast or a TV show, obviously. But other than that, even in my training, coaching calls, my support calls, I stop and I share the 3 people I'm grateful for at that moment. And I started doing this in, I guess it would be November. And within a month, it became one of the favorite things that I did. Mm. And I would just literally just pause and think about who I'm grateful for and share it. And I absolutely love it. It brings joy to me every time I do it. It's a simple exercise. And sometimes I share more than 3, but usually I stick to the 3 and I go right back to whatever I'm doing. And
I love that.
Yeah, I've never been a journaler or someone that takes time to reflect on the things that I'm grateful for. And I know I ought to be, because most of the people I model do it as a regular part of what they do. But it's never worked for me. Never worked for me with my lifestyle and my approach. And so I was like, I'm missing out on this. But now the one thing I ought to find a way to do, and I'm sure it's easy enough, is record it. Like if I actually recorded that little clip, that'd be fun for me just to have a record of it over the years. Yeah. I don't think anyone would listen to it.
You never know. Listen, you just never know these days, right? I love that though, that you found something that works for you, because I do a gratitude experience. I call it an experience, not a challenge, every single November. And I know it's a little cliche to do a gratitude experience around Thanksgiving here in the United States, but that's neither here nor there. It's a whole month thing that I do. And the whole purpose of it is really to do different activities every day that are push you out of your gratitude comfort zone, to go, okay, this is not about just journaling or just 3 things or just whatever. Like, it's finding different things. And the one of them, I always get a riot of the one day, because I ask them to turn on the news. And I tell them to turn on the news and find something you're grateful for. And a lot of these people, are very spiritual in nature, that we don't watch the news because the news is not good for us, kind of thing. But it's like, listen, I'm asking you to do this because you're not always going to have rainbows and roses and all of this stuff just perfect all of the time. So you have to sort of work your gratitude muscle and find something to be grateful for, even when it looks like there might not be something to be grateful for, right?
Well, and in fact, that's probably the most important thing for entrepreneurs, is that if you can't get to that state of gratitude, it's really difficult to build your business, because it's up to you, no matter what's going on in the outside circumstances. Right. And, as we record this session, Lord knows there's lots of outside circumstances going on, right? Every day it's like, could it get worse? Yes, evidently it can.
What level of Jumanji are we on today?
Exactly. What level are we on now? I didn't know there was such a level like this one, but there is. And yet we still have our life. We still have our family. We still have our neighborhood. We still have our circle. And so focusing on gratitude is a pretty strong muscle to build. Love it.
Absolutely. So before we jump into the real heart of what we're going to talk about today, tell everybody have you always been like in this entrepreneurial mindset? How did you dive into being an entrepreneur?
No, well, not always, but early on, I had a DJ business when I was in high school, and really wasn't like a business, but it was a business. We charged for it, and we spent lots of money on albums. And back in those days, kids, they were called LPs. They're big, huge, CDs. They were this big, and we would carry hundreds of them to every one of our events and play requests, and it was a lot of fun. But it really wasn't a business. And then a friend of mine said, introduced me to his uncle. His uncle was a millionaire from Esterhazy, Saskatchewan. I lived in the big city of Saskatoon. At least to me, it was big back then. 150,000 people, not really a big city. But in Saskatchewan, where I grew up, it was one of the big cities. And his uncle was from a small town called Esterhazy, and he was a millionaire. Would you like to meet him? Yeah. Do you want to be a millionaire? I think so. And it turns out it was an Amway presentation. I didn't know what Amway was. I was 16. And my buddy really didn't know what it was. It was his uncle. And we went there and we're like, wow, this looks pretty cool. And so we got involved in Amway when we were 16. Wow. And never made a lot of money, but did learn the concept of modeling success. Modeling success. It was the first time I ever read a book that wasn't a school assignment. And it was Think and Grow Rich, and then a whole bunch of others after that. And I realized, if I have a choice, I would like to be a millionaire. That's a better choice than being broke. I think that'd be a good thing to do. And so I started looking at modeling successful people. And of course, when you study that, most of them have businesses. And that, or they're investing in real estate. Right. That's a business of its own. Right. And so I started thinking about it consciously, but I didn't go full time into business for another, 13 years before I went full time in business. I was part time for about 5 years before I went full time. So I mean, it's been decades. But initially, no, I just started, and then the modeling concept is what got me into it. Modeling concept, modeling success, and amazingly, and I don't know if it's changed today. I don't think it has. Nothing in our school system taught us to model successful people. Right. I mean, Harvard's famous for it, right? If you get a Harvard MBA, it's all about modeling, right? They call it case studies and other fancy terms, but it's modeling. It's studying other successful things and applying it here. So at the graduate level, it's normal. In university, it's sometimes taught, sometimes not, depends on the profession. High school, public school, middle school, forget about it. Yeah. Right? Yeah. They don't even bring up the concept of modeling. It's like, why? Oh, why? And the conspiracy theorist in me is like, because those that have don't want those that don't understand.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But that's a separate discussion.
Yeah. Well, I completely get that though, because I mean, I've been homeschooling my children since 2013, and I love that we have the ability to allow them to do some of that modeling. Now, my one son, my younger of my two sons, he does not, he fights me on doing any kind of like book work, any kind of like, actual, like learning the basics of things, because he really like, he knows it, but if he has to repeat it, he's like, I'm out. Like, I don't want to do it. But he loves to watch TED Talks. That's become like a huge thing for him. And so I'm like, I kind of like, I care obviously if he doesn't know certain, concepts and things that he's supposed to know, but I kind of don't care, because like I'm like, he's learning so much through like taking all of this in. So it's a wild thing being a parent,
Well, and that's one of the best things about homeschooling, is that you've got the ability to have them learn through experiences. We homeschooled our son for the first 7 years of school, and it was the best thing possible. And my initial concern was, the whole socialization argument. And it took me about like a day into homeschooling to realize he's going to be far more socialized than non-homeschool people who only hang with other people in grade 3 their entire year. Yes. And don't meet any adults other than their one teacher, who's attempting to be a disciplinarian with a bunch of unruly 3-year-olds or grade 3 students, right? And it's like, no, I mean, to this day, he's 13, and we just, as we record this, he had just come over for a visit, and he had built a computer for my brother-in-law. from scratch for him as a service. And we were installing it. And he was explaining each of the things in the new computer to my brother-in-law. And afterwards, my brother-in-law, Lawrence, shared an email to me and said, please forward on to Tyler how impressed he was by how thorough his explanations were about each of the different elements. And it was a genuine, sincere compliment from a very successful multimillionaire and entrepreneur. But it was like, he was so impressed by that. It's like, well, yeah, that's the way he is.
Yeah.
Like, he's got those social skills to communicate and explain. Those are far more valuable than, what's the capital city of Alabama, or what's the Greek or the Roman letter for 4, right? Or, some of these things that we learned in high school that were like, I don't think we're ever going to use them except playing some trivia game down the road. Might save us a beer.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I know that you've done a lot of different things in business, but I just loved that you recognized, when we had our initial conversation, that you recognized that the folks that watch our show here tend to be very spiritual, very spiritual entrepreneurs or intuitives of some kind, or somebody who's trying to figure that all out, and so when I invite an entrepreneur on here, I'm always a little cautious, because I'm like, listen, I don't want to go down this road of like 10 things that you can do in your business today, because my people will be tapped out 5 minutes ago. And so we were talking about this. You were talking to me about a concept with sharks and dolphins. Take us into that and tell us a little bit more.
This is something for, I call the whole woo-woo world in entrepreneur land, heart-centered entrepreneurs. There's lots of different terms for them: impact-driven, heart-centered, lovingly, internally, we call it woo-woo entrepreneurs. But that whole world is driven around impact, not income, right? Impact first. What impact, what difference can I make? How can I serve? How can I help my people? And I came across a book in the 90s called The Strategy of a Dolphin. The Strategy of a Dolphin by, I think it's Lynch. And you can only get it on Kindle now. But it talks about the model of humanity, these different models. This one talks about 3 types: dolphins, sharks, and carp. So the sharks, you'll probably recognize, listeners. The sharks are the kill or be killed, right? It's all about them, and get out of my way, because look out, here I come. We used to use the reference to The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump. Now even saying it creates all sorts of triggers, so we don't use that parallel as much. But that style of deal making is kill or be killed, right? If you look at what he recommends, and someone wrote the book for him, but what he recommends and what he lives, and we've seen as president, it's my way or you lose. Like, there's no middle ground,
right? And
that's the shark model of life. And so you want to be very careful, because that's their job. Their job is to eat you. Their job is to attack. Their job is to take. And so when you get burned all the time, when you look back, chances are they're sharks. The second one is carp, right? Carp are the bottom fish that are always getting eaten by the sharks, right? You call up your girlfriend, "Hi, how you doing?" No, really? Oh, you got eaten by another shark? Didn't you get eaten by one last week? And like, every time you talk to your carp friends, they're getting eaten by another shark.
Right.
And some of you listening to this might be taking this kind of personally, because you're like, I keep getting eaten by sharks. I mean, I'm a carp. You could be, or you could be a dolphin. We'll get to that in a second. But you want to be aware if it's happening over and over and over and over. I bought this program and I got ripped off. I joined this thing and I got ripped off. I did this and I got ripped off. If that's the model, you're probably either being a carp or acting like a carp at the very least.
Right.
And that's not healthy for you, for sure, let alone everyone around you. You're not going to get any impact if you're getting eaten all the time. And then the third is dolphins. Dolphins are the team players. It's all about the pod. It's about fun first. It's definitely 1 + 1 is 11. I've had the pleasure of swimming with the dolphins in the wild. Amazing experience. If you ever get a chance to, there's nothing like it. They're like big puppies, unbelievably friendly and playful and joyful and fast. Oh my gosh, fast. But here's the thing. In the wild, it's the only creature the shark fears. They don't fear man because they don't know man. We're not part of their world. They do fear the dolphin because if they go after a weak member of the pod, a sick dolphin, and the other shark or the other dolphins see it, they'll gang up on that shark and beat it senseless until it can't swim. And when a shark doesn't swim, it drowns. Right. I love that metaphor. Now I've added a fourth archetype. I've modified it. I call it enlightened sharks. Let's see if you recognize this, Jessica, from the online training world.
Okay.
It's all about them, but they know to get what they want, your money, your adoration, your love, your sex, whatever, they have to help you get what you want. So they're enlightened sharks. Behind the scenes, I've had the pleasure of sharing the stage with some of the biggest names in our industry. Behind the scenes, it's clear their motivation is just them. But it's also clear they're motivated to get you and others what they want so they can get what they want. Their core motivation is still them. You want to be crystal clear. An enlightened shark is still a shark, but they're the Tony Robbins of the world. Make massive impact, exponentially so, and they want you to get impact so that you give them more money, more adoration, more love, whatever the case may be.
Right.
And so they're often the industry leaders out there, and you can promote them, but don't partner with them. Don't partner with them because their job is fundamentally to eat, to kill or be killed. And so I love this archetype model because it allows you to sort of evaluate business partners, investors, key clients. We screen for dolphins and sharks for every one of our high-end clients. We will not let a shark in. If we know they're a shark, if they act like a shark, if they have shark tendencies, we even ask them trick questions to find out if they're shark-like. Which I won't share on the recording in case you ever call me. But it's true because literally some of the most expensive lessons I've learned when I look back, it's like, well, what do you expect? You partner with a shark. Why do you think it cost you millions of dollars, Tom? Their job was to take your money. And they did it. They were very successful. Good job, little sharky.
Yeah. Right? So how do we know though? Like if we're, I think that a lot of heart-centered entrepreneurs, are often unsure about the business side of things. And so how do they know looking like who's actually a shark? Because there are a lot of people who put on a really good face and put on a really good show that they're put on that dolphin costume really well.
That's and the enlightened part of enlightened sharks. You can't tell.
Yeah.
So on the surface, I got good news and bad news. On the surface, you can't tell. On the surface, they act exactly the same. And so you need to do a bit of digging. So here are some sort of leading edge indicators, if you will, of shark-like behavior. Are they in their master classes or webinars? Is it all about perfection, except for the quote, the hero's journey, where they want to build rapport with you? Except for that. Is everything else about perfection? Or are they super transparent about their weaknesses, foibles, losses, challenges? That's one way. My experience is dolphins are just as at home sharing about their foibles and weaknesses as their wins. Whereas sharks are very much focused on perfect presentation, perfect exposure, perfect situation. That's one. Second, if they're selling you something, is the price linked to results or is it linked to their pocketbook? And what I mean by that, right? If it's a multi-payment program, is it linked to the calendar or your results? If it's linked to the calendar, it's got nothing to do with you, everything to do with them. If it's linked to results, it's got everything to do with you and nothing to do with them, except for the fact that now they have to help you to get results.
Right.
And so that's one of the ways to look at it. We teach all of our clients that do high-end programs, high-impact programs, to link, except for that first payment, because you want to have some skin in the game, link everything else to results. Everything else. Because then we're aligned. We're working together. And the beautiful thing about that is, even if you're dealing with an enlightened shark, if their payments are linked to results, they're going to help you get results because they want your payment. They may not want you to get impact in the world as their driving force, right? But they want your payment. And so if the payments are linked to results, then at least you've aligned them with you, right? You've aligned them with you. When you're negotiating with them, is it a win-win negotiation or is it a win-lose negotiation, right? Like when you're in a strategy session, ask a question, challenge them a little bit, see how they respond. Are they listening? Do they care? Do they care about your point of view, or are they simply trying to wait to come back with the next response? Right now, I'm being stereotypical. Most guys are like that in communication all the time. So that on its own doesn't convict a guy of being a shark. But generally speaking, more guys are sharks than dolphins, and more women are dolphins than sharks. So that's, are they a guy? That's one of your signs that if they're a guy, chances are higher that they're a shark. Are there women sharks? Of course. Are there men dolphins? Of course. So it's, you don't want to like completely label someone just because of that, but your spidey senses, your intuition should be higher tuned to that. And also, how do they handle conflict? How do they handle conflict? It's one thing to get triggered and upset, but how do they handle it afterwards? Right? Dolphins will own it. Gosh, I really messed up on that. Sorry, Jessica. And then now you got to be careful. I'm Canadian. Most Canadians say sorry just as a natural training.
I was waiting.
Just saying sorry is not enough on its own, right? But do they feel sorry? Do they act sorry? That matters for sure. There's sharks in Canada too.
Wait, listen, I talk about that. My husband's Canadian, and so I talk about that with him all the time. I'm like, you can't just say sorry just because you're Canadian. Like, you need to actually, you gotta follow up, mean something.
Follow up and follow through on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the other part, frankly, is are they focused on fun and impact, or are they focused on money and work? Like generally speaking, you can tell 30 seconds into a conversation. Right. I mean, like I met a guy last night as we record this that I hadn't talked to in about, 14 years. And he reached out and he said, we got to reconnect. I've lost touch. I just want to chat. And, he's moved to Hawaii. He's living on a 9-acre off the grid eco farm. I'm like, what? This is so amazing. And so we start talking, as you probably can tell with my backdrop, I'm kind of into Hawaiian dolphins. And so I'm like, where, what part of Mahilo? Oh, tell me about this. Oh, do you have macadamia nuts? You do. Oh my gosh. And we're 45 minutes in. I had literally 10 minutes left. He hadn't asked me a single question about myself. We were just talking about his life and what he was doing and where he was going. If you're being interviewed or if you're having a conversation with someone, a shark won't let it go that long. They get down to business, baby. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Right? They're wired to get what they want. And so sharks tend to think more short term than dolphins. Right? My goal wasn't to sell him a thing. Neither was his goal to sell me a thing. Our goal is to reconnect and touch base after. And in fact, in the middle of it, near the end, he said, I felt so bad because when we last talked, I kind of let you down. I had no clue what he was talking about, Jessica. No idea. And I'm like, did I sleep with your sister or something, Rick? I have no idea. What are you talking about? No. Remember I was going to write some copy. You wanted me to do this and this. You're going to do an event in Bali. And I'm like, nope, tell me more. And then he told me more. I'm like, still no idea, Rick, brother, sorry. And he goes, well, clearly you're not upset. I said, no, I'm not upset. It's like years ago. And, I guess he turned down a request to do some copywriting for me on a project I was working on. And apparently at that time I was upset about it, but whatever. I certainly didn't lament it because I couldn't even remember the details.
Right.
When he described the project, it sounded like a project I would have come up with. Go to Bali, do business golf, play in the sand, combine it all. Yep, I could see me wanting to promote an event like that. And I know we never did one of those events. I would have remembered that.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing too, is that you can, if you're looking at masterminds with dolphins, it's going to be about your impact, your result, and not theirs, right? Like one of the things I always chuckle is the mastermind is hosted in the city they live.
Right.
Well, what's that all about? You live in St. Louis. I love ribs in St. Louis, but that's not exactly an iconic gathering place for people to fly from around the world. So why are we coming to St. Louis? Because I live there. Aha. Okay. right? Because I live there. That's the only reason that makes sense. And for those of you who run your masterminds and invite people to their hometown, I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm just simply saying if that's the only factor,
note to self,
you're not thinking about the other people.
Yeah.
Right. You're not thinking about the other people. You're like, where do you want that experience to be? Is it just where you are? And sometimes there's a huge difference in cost and facilities, and it makes it unaffordable when you go other places. So I get there's other factors.
Yeah.
But when you ask them about it, what's their answer? Right? If their answer is because it'll save you a lot of money, Jessica, coming to St. Louis because I've got all my team there. And if I go somewhere else, I'm going to have to charge at least 30% more.
Right.
I used to do that. And I found that I could get more people. Okay, they thought it through. Then I'll go to St. Louis.
Yeah.
Or at least we'll understand why you want me to go. If it's in December, good luck.
So Tom, we have these different archetypes, and if someone is watching and they really feel like, I want to make the most impact that I can, and I just I feel like a carp, honestly. I feel like I don't know how to, do I need to be a shark? Do I need to be a dolphin? What do I need to be?
What an awesome question. First off, the reality is you need to be true to yourself. So if you're a shark and you're listening to this, what the heck are you doing on this podcast? First off, number one, you're in the wrong place. Sorry. You're in the wrong podcast. Right? Go to Gary V's podcast. Get out of here. Tune off.
I'll cuss if you want me to, but it's not going to make any difference.
Exactly. Frickin' leave us right now. But the reality is, if you want to have impact in the world, hang with dolphins. Hang with dolphins. It is so much easier for a carp to become a dolphin than for a shark. It's so much easier. However, I believe in a concept called strategic philanthropy, doing good and making money at the same time. I teach it to sharks all the time as a strategy to make money. And I remember some of my more heart-centered entrepreneurs going, why are you telling this? Why are you teaching it this way? I go, because them faking it makes the world a better place. Because the only way you do good and make money at the same time is if you do good and make money at the same time.
Yeah.
And so the do good is there. And if they're doing it purely for marketing purposes, as long as it's transparent and fixed and a percentage of gross, not net, and all these, criteria I have so that it's really doing good, not pretend doing good.
Right.
Bring it on. If you're doing it just to make a buck, bring it on, because the world's going to be better off for that. Having said that, carps and dolphins need to hang out more, and dolphins hang out in pods, right? Get in a mastermind of other dolphins, hang with other people, find someone who's doing something that you can model their world and hang with them. And, the reality is a paid high-end mastermind is the best way to do that. Now that's biased because a third of our business is paid high-end masterminds. So full disclosure, yes, I'm biased, but I also believe masterminds done right are the greatest force for good on earth.
Right.
Period. So, whether it's my mastermind or anyone else's is not the issue. Find a dolphin that you want to model and hang out in their mastermind. The advantage of high-end paid is you're dealing with dolphins that are really making a difference. They're building what we call movements. Right? My title is Chief Movement Maker because that's my job. My job is to find dolphins and help them build global movements in their area. That's my job. That's my calling. That's what I'm here on the earth for now. And now I realize it. Took me about 45 years of banging my head and making and losing millions before I clued in. Thank you, big guy, for making it so challenging. But, oh, yeah, right. It was me, wasn't it? Yeah, okay. Yeah. The symbols were there. I just wasn't paying attention. Okay, that's fair. Fair enough. I get it. Don't mind me while I have a conversation.
That's okay.
So,
that's what we do.
Those that are listening in audio, they're wondering what the heck's going on, right? It's like,
go find the video, breakthroughshow.com, please. Go,
yeah, there you go. Love it. That'd be my advice for sure. And the other thing is, if you're in a relationship with a shark, get out. Get out. You're not served by doing that. And if it's your spouse, I'm sorry to tell you this, but same answer. Same answer. If you're married to a shark, you will never have long-term peace and joy. You just won't. You absolutely won't. And I haven't gone through divorce once. I don't plan to do it ever again. I don't have another wife at this point, so the odds are still against me because I don't know if you know, the divorce rate of second marriages is higher than the divorce rate of first marriages. So, and for entrepreneurs, it's even higher on top of that. So if I do ever get married again, chances are, but no, let's focus on the reality. If you're married to a shark, you do not want to stay in that situation. You want to find a way to get out of it, because it's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for your kids.
Yeah, I love that too, because I can even see in my own life, you know, in my first marriage, I was absolutely a carp. It was like, and it was worse than a carp. I was probably, I don't know, a flounder or something. Like, I don't know, something not even.
Carp's right at the bottom. That's good.
Yeah, right. That's just,
really
that's
good
how
carp. You are an awesome carp.
Yeah. At the time, you know, that's looking back, especially looking back now, like that's how I felt. But really, you know, my husband now is I think he can be an enlightened shark in his work at his job and his business, because he's in sales, and he's been in sales his entire life, and it's kind of
and automotive sales, right? Did
you
tell me? Yeah.
Yeah. And so you kind
of talk about stereotypical shark feeding pool.
That's how we need to have you back to have a conversation about that, because that's a whole other topic.
Why do you think Tesla has done so well? Why do you think Tesla has done so well? Because they've eliminated traditional sales channels. It's not just that they've innovated the car and made it unbelievably orgasmic to drive. That's not the only reason they've succeeded, because many of the cars they were selling in the beginning were way more expensive than their competition, way less feature benefit ridden. It was part of what they did. And to this day, for those listeners that haven't tried it, go to a Tesla dealership. It's not even the right term for it. And take a test drive, and you'll be blown away by the experience, how they treat you as a human. Traditional car dealerships can learn a ton just from seeing what human interaction looks like. That's not about the game of let's see what we can get out of this person's pocket before they leave here, right? And the great car salespeople, that was actually my beat early on when I worked for Dale Carnegie. I had two beats: salespeople in cars and real estate salespeople. So I got to see the good, the bad, and the ugly of two very big professions. And the great car salespeople are total dolphins. They will not sell you a car that's not a perfect fit for you.
Right.
They will bend over backwards to get the best deal, the best terms. And yes, they'll make a ton of money along the way. But making money is not shark behavior.
Right.
In fact, I would argue it's a moral obligation for dolphins to make money.
I love that.
We give it back. We recirculate it. We make the world a better place with it. You know, I've told you this before. Katie Sharfin from Austin, Texas, her famous quote that I love is, "The saddest thing in the world is a broke philanthropist." I believe you can make money and do good at the same time. And in fact, I know that you can do both. I mean, we give away scholarships for our top high ticket program, which I definitely want to mention if we get time, because someone listening in might have some authority and wisdom and they want to make money from that authority and wisdom, making the world a better place. We'll give you a full scholarship to one of our programs. Why would we do that? Why would we do that? Well, we've learned you get in, you're successful, you're going to tell more people about it, and it ends up being good for business. So we do good and it's good for business. That's a win-win. That's the way it should be. Anyhow, I think.
Yeah. I love what you said, though, about it being, I started and scribbled on my paper that I take notes on while I'm doing interviews, that it is a moral obligation for dolphins to make money. But if you have that money you can spend it how you want. You can give to organizations that you want. You can make a difference how you want to in the world. So that's like completely fired me up today because there's so many things that I think of, you know, when I get up in the morning and think, I really want to make a difference in this area. And I wish I had I wish I could give $21 billion, you know, today to do that. And so we
can do our version of that.
Yes.
That's the thing. We can do our version of that. You know, we're going to give away $10 million worth of scholarships this year. That's our goal. We're a little over $2.5 million as we record this. So we're looking for people to give away scholarships to on purpose. Will we get all the way to 10 million? Maybe we'll get past it. Maybe we'll fall short. Either way, we're going to impact thousands of people. right? Now we've built it into our model where we can do that. Like we're able to do that. We're fortunate, but it's not just fortunate, it's by design. Doing good and making money at the same time is strategy. It's not accident or fate or luck. It's a choice. It's a choice. And heart-centered entrepreneurs, you need to know you have to make money or you can't do the good in the world. Business should not be a hobby.
Right.
Startup should not be 7 years. Right? Yeah. It should be a temporary phase on the way to somewhere else. Right? Startup's not supposed to be a permanent state of being for people. It's supposed to be a journey along the way. And so you cannot have the impact in the world. My number one mentor of all time is Jay Abraham, marketing genius. And he has a saying that says, if you have a product or service that makes a difference in the world, you have a moral obligation to serve as many people as possible. Yes, you'll get compensated, but that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about serving people, right? So impact should be a healthy thing for you, and getting paid for impact needs to become a healthy thing for you. And once you realize that, your world will change. Your world will change. You'll start hanging out with people who believe that same thing. You'll start, whether it's on Zoom world, right, like we're all living in now, or whether it's at live events once they're legally allowed, right, or whatever, you'll start hanging with people that are making a difference in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Well, Tom, I would love for you to close us out today by sharing a little bit about what you were talking about the programs you offer and the scholarships you have available, and how can people jump in? Because I know that I'm fired up by a lot of the things that you're sharing today, and I want that for everybody. So share with us.
Love it. Well, and podcasters are also eligible to apply for a scholarship. I think we have about 92% of the podcasts that I've done this year have gone in the scholarship program. So you are more than welcome as well. If you have authority or wisdom or knowledge and you want to take it to the world, we have a way to teach you how to do that. We call it the Game Changer Program Academy. It's a 4-month deep dive coaching program where we teach you how to create, blueprint, validate, and then sell your high ticket program that guarantees results for your clients. That guarantees results for your clients. So not only are you making real money first time, but you're able to have real impact for your clients. It's a really cool model. It comes with 12 coaching calls a month and templates and training and accountability partners. And you see, courses themselves are a waste of time. 3% at most complete courses. Everyone listening is in that category, right? Got a course, never did it. Got a course, never did it. You need skills, accountability, and mentorship. We all need skills, accountability, and mentorship.
Yeah.
Because that's what gets results. And so we build that into the program. It's a $10,000 program. Right now, about 81% of the people applying are getting a scholarship for it. We'll get you the link for your show notes, Jessica. They just go there. Our nonprofit is called Entrepreneur Empowerment Institute, and it's through our nonprofit that we give these away, and we're happy to do it. If you have no authority and no desire to build authority, you won't be accepted. If you have no time and no desire to allocate time, you need at least an hour a day to really make this work, then you won't be accepted. But other than those two exceptions, and it's your own, like we ask you questions, you answer on your own. Other than that, everyone else gets in. We're super proud of this. It's making a huge difference in people's lives. And we're going to keep giving away as many of these as we can until they make me stop. And since I'm owner of the company, I don't think they're going to make me stop.
Just act now before Tom tells Tom not to do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Before Tom goes crazy and stops giving away things that make a difference in the world.
I love it. Well, Tom, thank you so much for sharing all of this incredible information today and for making it really accessible, like we've talked about, to those heart-centered entrepreneurs who, a lot of times when we hear other coaches and business coaches speak, we're tapped out 5 minutes in. And I love the archetypes you explained today. And really, I can see how it ties in so beautifully to the things that I've been working on in my life. And I know by extension, our listeners as well. So Tom, thank you so much for being with us and sharing today.
You're welcome. And I can't wait to hear about this mini golf crazy guy. My very, 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 very first business was about mini golf. So I can't wait. I'm glad you partnered me with a crazy mini golfer.
Well, we know that we definitely have the masculine energy flowing on the show today, but it's so good. It's so good. And I think it's beautiful to see heart-centered men stepping up in the world and sharing their gifts and making the world a better place by helping other people to make the world a better place too.
You're most welcome, Jessica. Thanks for the invite.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to be back in just a minute with more of Karl Barth, but be sure you check out the show notes for all of the stuff we talked about with Tom Matzen today, and we'll be back in just a minute. We hope you've been enjoying the Breakthrough Show. If you're someone who is an inspirational entertainer or has an incredible story of breakthrough, we want to hear from you and maybe even have you on the show. Be sure to visit the links in our show notes to send us an email or connect with us on social media. We hope to see you on a future episode of the show. And now back to the Breakthrough. Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. Tom was just amazing today, but we're back with the first guest from our show today, Karl, Mr. Mini Golf, and he was recently on a show called Holey Moley, season 2 of Holey Moley. Now, when I heard about this show, I was like, a show about mini golf, but I laughed so hard when I went to go watch this because it literally is like mini golf meets Wipeout, and it's hysterical. It is the funniest thing I've seen. So what was it like for you being a part of something like that, Karl?
Yeah, I mean, it's really probably one of my top 3 experiences with mini golf. I mean, I applied to be on season 1, didn't make the cut, I guess. I mean, it's kind of, I don't understand how you can have a mini golf show without the Mr. Mini Golf.
I mean, hello.
But I don't know. Maybe demographic wise, they already had enough middle-aged white guys or something. So that might have already. They might have already filled the quota there. So
what do you mean? That's a thing in golf?
Well, I mean, that's the typical demographic for the professional group is middle-aged white guys. So yeah, definitely fit that. So, but no, the experience was really cool. All the hole designs were fantastic. They definitely amped it up in comparison to season 1. They wanted more wipeouts for sure. And then the challenges of them were so much more exciting and difficult and so much more fun. And it was really cool because there was just a lot of great people and characters for the show. It's not necessarily you have to be the best mini golfer in the world to be on the show, but you got to have some skill. But it's mostly, do you have a good story, interesting story? Are you a fun person? You know, are you energetic? Are you passionate about it? So all those kind of things combined together make you a perfect candidate to be on that show. And you know, having that experience with Hollywood and behind the scenes, apparently that's the secret sauce to being on any TV show is, you know, be an interesting person, have interesting characteristics about you, get people to be excited to hear you talk and see what you do. So now it's kind of opened the door to like, well, what else is out there to experience too? And, you know, I really hope that they continue with Holey Moley and go into season 3 and have a lot more mini golf types of stuff on TV too. I think that's maybe the next step. Maybe a mini golf movie, mini golf TV shows, definitely more tournaments and activities throughout that people can get involved in. I'm just really excited how much Holey Moley is making mini golf more mainstream and allowing me to connect with more people and just have more fun with people.
I think it does that. It reminds people to have fun, and it also it reminds people to not just have fun, but that it's okay to get serious about having fun, to make having fun a priority. Because for the person that doesn't necessarily, you know, play mini golf or like something that they do all the time, it is a riot to watch these people that are so serious about the game, that are like, they're not playing around. The first episode of season 2, when I was watching, and they had to like jump on it was a shark. Was it a shark that was going around? I was just laughing so hard because they were serious. And they were ready to go over there and get it. So
Well, we were all competing for $250,000. I mean, it's serious business. So, and honestly, the odds of just in general were great because it was 1 in 100 people is going to win that money. So, it's fantastic to see, all the different people, all different walks of life, just coming together, playing mini golf and having a good time.
I love that so much. So you mentioned that it does take a little bit of knowing and skill to be able to play, to make your shots in mini golf. So will you show us a little bit?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for showing us some putting. I think it encourages people to get out and maybe if they haven't played mini golf in a while, now they'll go do that.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, there's always courses around every major city, and that's what's kind of cool too is for people to explore and kind of find those hidden gem ones that aren't necessarily advertised so much. Just it could be like someone's homemade course that they turned into a business, become that entrepreneur in that sense. But maybe they're not even online. So finding those hidden gem courses is just one of those things that I personally like to do and like to discover and share those with the world. So I want people to, share that with me and the rest of the world. And I want to go play those courses as well. So the more people get out and share that, the better.
Yeah. Have you played there's a mini golf course at Ocean Beach in New London, Connecticut. Have you ever played there?
Nope, but I'm going to add that to my list now.
You need to add it to your list because it thrilled me as a child to not mascot, but the logo for the city is a whale. And so there is a giant whale that you hit through the mouth and it comes out the tail and it comes down I think for a long time it didn't work, but for a while, every so often the water would actually come out of the spout.
Awesome.
And it just thrilled me as a child when my grandfather used to take me to play it. So I'll have to do a little digging and make sure that whale's still there before I send you over there.
Sure, but if you know of any pictures, definitely send them my way too. I'd love to see it.
I will, because it was a lot of fun. We've talked about a lot of different things today, but I want to finish up by giving you some space to share about Jackpot a little bit more and what this charity side of mini golf looks like for you and why you're passionate about it.
Sure. So I always thought that it's important to me to be able to give back wherever I can, just because I've had a very fortunate and blessed life. So why not use something that I'm passionate about, that I'm experienced with, to help other people? So that's how I knew right when I started Jackpot that I would have to be able to figure out a way to give back to people. So I've done that from the beginning and will continue to do that indefinitely with Jackpot for my mini golf endeavors. And during everything with COVID pandemic and the stay-at-home order and people in quarantine, I came up with this great idea for a campaign that I called Putt for Pledges. So that was basically a way for people to do mini golf in their homes, get involved with other miniature golfers all over the world, and to raise money for other nonprofit organizations and charities. So we just completed our very first one in May, on May 9th, which was National Miniature Golf Day, a very fitting day, of course. And we did that for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So we raised, as the putters, about $3,000. And then we also had a company match for another $3,000. So we raised $6,000 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Wow. Just by playing miniature golf, which is awesome. And at that time, that was, people with cancer, leukemia, lymphoma, and all other forms of cancer. Those were the people that were some of the most at-risk people during everything with the COVID-19 and everything there. So those being able to provide that money, in my thought, is life-changing for those people, because it just gives them, a little bit more peace of mind during a time where, they could come into contact with someone and it could literally kill them. So, and that's what's kind of neat with Jackpot and Putt for Pledges, is getting involved with these organizations that is life-changing for people. And I want people to be able to reach out to me and say, hey, I'm involved with this organization, or, I know of this nonprofit or charity that does a great cause that's important to me. Can we do something and get involved with that? And I want people to reach out and say, yeah, let's do a Putt for Pledges campaign and raise some money, for this organization and that organization, and just have some fun doing it. Like, I think that's a great way for people to donate some money, just by having fun and having a good time. And also, participants get some great prizes. During this first Putt for Pledges, we had a great prize package for the person that raised the most money. They get a round at Pebble Beach. They get a lesson with Robo Golf Pro. They're getting a custom wood putter. And they're getting the Mr. Mini Golf Platinum Baller package for my subscription package. So they get all sorts of cool mini golf stuff. And there's just a ton of other things that people are donating as well, including some awesome night golf stuff from one of my sponsors as a professional athlete, Night Say. So just all cool stuff all around, and hoping to make it bigger and better, and get more people involved with mini golf, and make it more mainstream, and to be able to help other people and grow the mini golf empire is really what's the next steps here.
So that's really awesome that we've talked about being able to honestly, create a business around mini golf, but like you said, you really can give back as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of the whole thing, is like, it fits all these different areas. I get to do something that I'm passionate about, something that I enjoy, make a living off of it, and then help other people as well. So I'm really touching all the areas that is really important to me, in having a career, and it's just something that makes me happy. I've never felt more comfortable with my life, and it'll be so interesting to see where it goes to next.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Well, we're going to make sure that we put all of the links where people can donate and all of that into the show notes. So that you guys can give back. And so with the Putting for Pledges, do you have to have a mini golf set up at your house to participate in that?
You can use all sorts of different objects that you have at your own home to do that. You can also go to any courses nearby that are open, that if you just want to film taking 10 putts there, you can do that. You can go to a regular golf course and hit on their putting green. You can do it in your backyard. You can do it inside your home. Just get creative, have fun with it, and just have a good time, and knowing that you're doing something also that helps a lot of people.
That's awesome. It's so, I love that. I love that we can do something fun and exciting that we love and be able to give back. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing in the world, Karl, and doing it in a way that you love, and that's fun for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on your show today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's been a blast. Thank you so much to my special guest today, Mr. Mini Golf, Mr. Mini Golf, it needs to be a tongue twister at this point. Mr. Mini Golf, Karl Barth, and I'm going to call him Mr. Sharks and Dolphins, Mr. Tom Matzen. Thank you guys so much for bringing the inspiring entrepreneurial heat today. Up next week on the Breakthrough Show, we've got even more inspiring stories of breakthrough for you guys with incredible guests that will have you looking at your life a little differently. And then I can't believe it. So we're going to be in the final month, the home stretch of season 4 of the Breakthrough Show, which is, as always, at the end of every season, so bittersweet, but we're going to have a lot of fun in this last month. So make sure you guys keep tuning in every Friday at 12 p.m. Central Time. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us today. Please take a moment to rate, subscribe, comment, and share where available. And until next week, remember that every moment is a great moment for a breakthrough. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Breakthrough. Please visit our website at www.thebreakthroughshow.com. And be sure to join our After the Breakthrough community powered by Patreon. We look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same place for another inspiring episode.